It's been a while since I've been dreading a tasting session. Here I was already feeling so crabby. I wonder why. This helps. But holidays are holidays, and you only get as long as you get. It's time for another tasting session. Excuse me. Hello everyone, I am Paul, and welcome back to my series Tasting Sessions, a show where I try out new drinks for the first time. I take a first shot, see how I think of it, and then of course, we take a second sip and judge it overall. And today, in celebrating Easter, one of the most important holidays in the Catholic calendar, and one of the most special holidays in any calendar year, a season of rebirth, of renewal, of springtime to begin, of cute little bunnies and chiclets and the kids gathering around for their eggs and their candies. I have the proud opportunity to review a very special edition of Pepsi this year. This is the 2023 limited edition Pepsi Peeps, or Pepsi X Peeps, artificial marshmallow flavored Pepsi. This was lovingly given to me by my close friends Big Ounce and Meme, who I've worked with quite often and provided drinks for me on this channel and this series before. Like always, your donation is of course appreciated. But because I hate marshmallows and they really are not my thing, I'll get you for this, I promise you. While many have coined this Peepsy, unfortunately, they decided not to go that route, as they need to keep it on brand, I think. So we officially have Pepsi Peeps, Pepsi X Peeps underneath them, which sounds like the start to a very weird fan fiction. And it's a relatively straightforward label. It's very hard to make out, but of course you will see a classic yellow chick, the staple of the Peeps lineup, next to the Pepsi logo. But faintly around the bottle, there are little silvered designs of their famed marshmallow chicks and Peeps. Marshmallow chicks and marshmallow bunnies. Peeps have been around for a long while, and they have a lot of different flavors. I personally, back when I was more of a fan of marshmallows, which took a while for me to get less and less into because I'm not a huge fan of super sugary things, ironic for a series where I mostly review soft drinks, I was very partial to the Halloween brand of Peeps. Now, not the Frankensteins, although they're cute, they weren't for me. I preferred the classic pumpkins and ghosts. Always a huge highlight of Halloween every year for me, like many other things. Well, today I don't prefer them nearly as much as I used to. They are still a huge source of many nostalgic Halloween memories for me. I just always go for a nice Pillsbury sugar cookie before I go to a nice Peeps Halloween marshmallow. They're both well worth your time if you're a fan of sweets. And of course, you could always pick up your own bunny and chick Pillsbury cookies, which are probably still in season at this time. Probably. Of course, because it's April, they might already have their Halloween cookies out yet. Getting back on track, because I'm obviously stalling at this point. There's not a lot to the bottle, but that's fine. I've had this holding on for a while, and I was very busy this weekend since seeing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, thanks to Weekend Deadpool forcing me to see it after I forced him to go with some of my friends to do the gut reaction for me. You can check out his gut reaction on that playlist. He ended up enjoying it enough to force me to see it. I will probably be doing a very, very long voice-only review of it in the future, as I fully admit there are parts of the movie I was a little too hard on before seeing it. There are parts of it that were much better than I was expecting, parts of it I was very indifferent to, and very few of it I outright hated. It's not a great movie in my opinion, but I didn't hate the movie, and there's a lot I could talk about for sure. So look forward to that, hopefully in the coming days. I got a lot I'm working on. Let me carefully open this up. And we pour it into our handy dandy shot glass. If you want to play tasting sessions at home, break out your shot glasses now. This is all going to come down to taste because it looks no different than a normal black brown bottle of Pepsi. I'm not a fan of marshmallows, I've admitted that, but I think right now this is mostly going to focus on the flavors, especially like if you bite into a Peeps straight down on it. It kind of like layers itself. Like if you bite straight down to a pancake, even though it's more fluffy and light, it layers itself and builds up because it's a very starchy, very fluffy, yeast filled food. I think this will be similar to that taste wise, of just overly sweet, but we're going to see. So, I am so sorry if this offends anyone. He is risen, alleluia, alleluia. We take a shot for he is risen, alleluia, alleluia. Yep, there it is. Wow. Okay, so that was definitely one of the more interesting first shots I've had in a show where I've had a lot of interesting first shots. At first, when you sip it, trust me, you might think it just tastes like regular Pepsi because that's what I got first. Because first I got regular Pepsi, then I got more bubbles, maybe because I hadn't fully settled, but then I got the marshmallow. And I'll tell you right now, as someone who knows his breakfast cereals, trust me, that tasted a lot more like Lucky Charms marshmallows than it did Peeps marshmallows, which I'm not surprised by. It had that flavoring to it of just like small concentrated bits of marshmallow bits that are meant to emulate circus peanuts. And again, I gotta give them huge credit, especially since previous aspirations, and my experience researching the career path of a research chef, they really did emulate that flavor, and I admire that. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to emulate solid foods flavoring into a liquid beverage. It's not easy to do that automatically, but this definitely calls for a second sip, however. So, here's to Mountain Dew. I don't know. Yeah. No, it's almost like an aftertaste. The marshmallow is practically an aftertaste because maybe I got less that time, but I'm not sure because I got a smaller taste that time. So at first it just tasted like regular Pepsi again, and I didn't get the same experience I got with the first shot. But then I like let it linger a bit, and I got that aftertaste of the marshmallow. I don't know if I've done this before on the channel, or at least not officially, but this calls for a third tasting. Man, it's weird. This is a weird one because every time I drink it, it just tastes more and more like regular Pepsi, but I can smell it. I can smell it really well, and it smells like Lucky Charms. Like, like it smells exactly like Lucky Charms. That's really interesting to me. I mean, I'm not surprised that it's more similar to a flavoring that already exists like that, and I don't know how related PepsiCo is to Kellogg's or General Mills or Bay Kroc or whoever does Lucky Charms cereal. I think it's Kellogg's, but that's really unique to me. I mean, again, like I'm not the biggest fan of Lucky Charms. Again, it's another good example of something I liked a lot more as a kid, but just especially since I've grown away from sweeter things, it's not really my cup of tea. That's really unique. That's a really unique way of doing that. Like, like legitimately, they could repackage this stuff next year, limited 2024 limited edition. Lucky Charms Pepsi. And I think people would buy it. Like, legitimately buy, yeah, that tastes a lot like Lucky Charms as a drink. Like, don't do this. You could pour it on your Lucky Charms cereal instead of milk, and the entire thing would taste like Lucky Charms still. Don't do that. But that's really neat. I gotta give them credit for that. Like, it doesn't feel like it's recycling a flavor I've had previously. And at first, it did trick me. Like, I thought it was just gonna be straight up Pepsi. But because of that, because so much of it does taste like actual Pepsi though at first, and it's more the aftertaste, it might be one I would return to again. I don't normally say that about tasting sessions. They're more a chance for me to experience drinks I wouldn't normally try and really get a first time tasting them. But they're not something I pick up again in the future. I just enjoy what I got. But I could totally pick this up again if I was out of regular Pepsi and be perfectly fine. So I gotta give them credit for that. So let's give this one. I'm usually pretty iffy on drink grades, but this one is definitely. Let's give it the same score I gave the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This is definitely a solid 7, 7.2 out of 10. But if not for how much Pepsi I got out of it, if it was just the marshmallow and the regular Pepsi was more of an aftertaste, it'd be like a 5 or a 6, much like the movie and how I described it. But well worth it. A very interesting drink for sure. Something very surprising and a nice little experience to tide over for an Easter Sunday special with all of you. So, with that said, we have already hit our 10th tasting session in under a year of doing this show. And that's pretty unique. If you guys would like to see any more drinks on the channel, make sure to tell me in the comments below and I'll see if I can find them. And if I can't find them, I'll ask my friends and see if they can scrounge up a bottle of it for me. In the future, we got plenty more drinks coming at you. I'm going to try and finally get around to doing Mountain Dew Pitch Black while that's still relevant, if it is. And always keep my eye out for more. Paul Westerfield channel fans in general, stay tuned. My next thumbnail is finally ready for my third Epic Mickey video. That's finally going to come out soon, hopefully this week. And I'm still plugging along at my bigger project of the first issue of Profound Paperbacks. So with all that being said, I'm Paul. We'll see you then. Happy Easter, everyone, and look forward to the future. I always do. He is risen, alleluia. Oh, praise be to God, for he is risen, alleluia. Oh.